Hey Piyush, hi, welcome to our first series of Prax Convos. Thanks so much for taking out the time to talk to us. It's always wonderful chit-chatting with you. And if I talk a little bit about the consumers, right, and what do you think are going to be some specific behavioral changes, at least in the near term, next 3 to 4 months, and in the long term, if you're looking at 6 to 18 months, and specific to eyewear? And again, prescription wear and let's say sunglasses would behave very differently because one being a essential versus the other, being more a discretionary spend. How do you think the behavior of buying, sort of, purchasing, etc., is going to change?
Eyewear is a need-based category also to a large extent. It's not necessarily that you change glasses only if you feel like so. You have a necessity to change glasses. So in a category like ours, I think there is a certain, I would say 70% of the consumer demand is pretty much, going to happen. There's no way out. People are going to, get their vision corrected. People are going to replace their glasses. Their glasses will break, lenses will chip. All of that market is, there is no choice there. Whereas in terms of people who were doing this more for fashion, for looks, I have two thoughts there. One is people could become a little cautious, but on the other hand, if you look at the amount of time we are spending on Zoom today, the only fashion accessory that is available to you, honestly, is your pair of glasses.
Yeah.
So your shirt is hidden, your trousers are hidden, bottoms are hidden, shoes you cannot show off. So this is probably the only accessory left. So I'm also viewing it from an angle that this would become a powerful accessory as people are, people need a little bit of that enjoyment in their lives and, fashion. So that I believe, and I'm 50-50 there, how that would play out. The other key trend I think is that, people for long have avoided wearing glasses for protection from glare, television, the amount of time we are spending on screens. So we definitely feel that, wearing blue computer glasses, the one that I am wearing, will become more and more popular with consumers. They will be ready to adopt this. And these, in my view, are, a little bit, are as good as any safety glasses, probably better because you're looking at screens so much. And when you use them, you'll realize that, it actually makes a significant amount of difference in your eyes. I think one of the other trends we'll notice is that people will start using more eye drops in a category like ours because, our dry eyes is a common problem globally and in India, but people just live with it. And that is sort of increasing now with screen time.
So do you think that Zoom basically, if they come out with a spectacles plugin, could become your next competitor?
I don't know whether Zoom would, but I think we could definitely sell Zoom glasses.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Tell me a little bit about this whole online versus offline. Now, you guys have obviously built a huge offline presence, right? And traditionally, customers did want to move to, go to a store, see the selection, check out, and pick it up from a store. And obviously, a good part of your business always came from offline. If there is a large switch from online because of safety reasons, because of regulations, right? Because customers generally preferring that way, how do you think your offline network will come handy? And will you see a good, large enough shift from offline to online? And how will you guys sort of, how do you plan to tackle that?
One big role that stores play in a business like ours is they are centers. Unfortunately, we still haven't got to a stage where a complete proper vision test can be done purely online. You need an optometrist to sort of analyze your eyes, do a subjective test and give you a prescription. While there are technologies that are evolving here, they are a little bit distant right now in terms of actually being able to give a full prescription. So the role of stores is actually quite high. What will change though is that there are stores which will operate it pretty much like a medical center in terms of the safety, hygiene, processes. Today you have to deliver a baby, you have to go to a hospital and there is no way out of it. Similarly, if you want to get your eyes tested, there's no way out of it. But hospitals are following a certain hygiene and stores will also need to follow the same hygiene and probably even more to make that happen. So there is a role that stores play. The other piece about trying spectacles, all of that some of that people may say, okay, I'll do it online. But if I look at the total pie, if maybe earlier, 100 people were buying, maybe earlier 30 people were closing purely online and some were choosing to go from online to the stores, that balance may change. But I think overall consumption of people who need specs is going to stay. In fact, I think this may actually bring a little bit more awareness in people, particularly because of blue protection.
Peyush, if I talk a little bit about retail business, now you guys are both online and offline retail. Offline retail has suffered a lot in the last 40 to 50 days, right? With restrictions being sort of imposed on anything except probably grocery and some other essential categories like pharmacy, etc. How do you think, my question is, how have retail businesses managed profitability? So rent is typically 10 to 30% of their cost, right? Depending on whatever retail business you're operating and, where your retail is. How have they managed profitability by different sort of cost items? And going ahead, how do you think the retail business model is likely to change? Because footfalls will continue to remain subdued, right? At least for the next 6 to 12 months. And as shops reopen, footfalls will not come back to normal, but rents would come back to normal. So, how will the profitability and the balance of cost and revenue come to the new sort of balance? And how do you think economics?
See, I think it will reach a new equilibrium. If a store was doing X amount of revenue and was profitable at X, now it needs to become profitable at X minus, let's say, 30%. And so the costs also need to reduce proportionately, whether it is people and rent are the two biggest costs in retail.
Yeah.
I think market will reach a new equilibrium with rent. There'll be landlords who will take time to accept this fact, and there'll be smarter ones who will understand that, the whole economic cycle has to come around. So, people who would accept that faster would, and there'll be a lot of them, I think, those properties would get rented out. And to give you an example, if there are landlords who will completely ignore the situation and will not correct the rents in tune to the business, and let's say business is 50%, those landlords will pretty much run, they will get notices on their properties and they'll lose. And once somebody is out, the chances of renting anything out today will be very, very low, because starting a fresh capex investment, and even the fact, even if I want to do it, putting labor in that store, furnishing it, you can assume for the next 12 months, it's going to be a very tough. So I think everybody needs to work in this as an ecosystem, whether it is landlords or employees. And then you have to be smart about operating efficiently, operating with limited manpower. You have to be smart about how much air conditioning are you running. You have to be smart about consumables. So cost control is going to be key here. But I think there is no way out. People need service, at least in a business like ours, and others also. People will need service, whether it is apparel or anything else. But it's just a matter of, retail is retail. So you have to get into the detail. Of course, initially there will be challenges, I think, particularly from landlords and maybe employees. But overall, it will set into an equilibrium, and which is why I think you have to be very cautious of the cost. If retailers give into that cost and make commitments of cost, that is going to be a huge problem later.
It's been wonderful talking to you. Thanks so much for taking out the time, and wish you all the health and all the best to you, your family, your friends, your colleagues, everyone, your loved ones.